Run JP Mason. I realize you got McCaffrey. McCaffrey's great, but you got to the Super Bowl last year, and was McCaffrey 100%? I would say he wasn't quite 100%. And if you have no running back depth, then you have no choice. But the Niners do. So they have a choice. JP Mason runs hard. And to me, he spent that $3,000 on the jugs machine to make himself a better catcher of the football out of the backfield. And man, it was worth every penny, because this guy made, I would say, a half dozen catches this summer, JD, he never would have caught a year ago. And I just think we're at a time of the year where, or a time in his career and the kind of the evolution of McCaffrey in this offense. I want to see Mason get 10 to 15 touches a game. I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable. He's that good of a back. I think whether you can throw it to him or hand it to him, get him 10 to 12 touches. To me, that would just prolong and preserve McCaffrey that much more.
I'm with you. And I think he's shown the improvement necessary to be trusted. I always kind of wondered, and it'd been a big part of some of our discussions I'd had on KMBR. Well, why doesn't he get more run? Like, what is it? Is it blitz pickup? Is he somebody that maybe fumbles at practice when nobody's watching? He didn't do it at training camp, really, when we were out there at all and able to watch these full practices. I think the pass catching component was part of it. I think, and he's alluded to that, and the time spent doing it. I mean, you got to be able to do that in the 49ers system to be able to be effective as a running back. So I don't know. I think there is a level better that Jordan Mason is compared to where he had been, to where I do feel like, I don't know if it's going to be 12 to 15, but it could maybe be in the 7 to 10 range, at least initially. But even that, I think at this point would be an upgrade toward earning, the more full trust of Kyle Shanahan. And here's the other thing. You got to have him ready, talking about Mason, in case something happens to McCaffrey again, and you don't have McCaffrey for a couple of weeks. You got to be able to win those games, maybe a handful without Christian McCaffrey. Every team has to be prepared to do that, and I think Mason has shown that he could be up to the task.
Niners did some restructures today. They created $16.4 million in cap space. They restructured Deebo Samuel's contract, and then they created $5.4 million in cap space by restructuring Malik Collins. And this is what gets it done, right? Because they ultimately got it done with Trent. Trent signs what Trent steals 3 years, $82.66 million, $48 million at signing, $25.69 million via a signing bonus. So, wow. I mean, that would be nice. That'd be a nice trip to the ATM if you, hey, honey, let's go to the ATM and see that we're $48 million richer today.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, right? That would be fantastic.
That'd be great.
I think a lot of that is, creating space that can be, rolled over, right? It's right. Twofold. It's basically preparing yourself for the future and some of the debts that are going to have to be paid moving forward. It also does allow for, if necessary, if there is somebody at the like if there is a glaring weakness at the trade deadline, it does give you a little bit of flexibility to go out and maybe attempt to try and make some kind of a big move. Now, you would still have to make some other moves maybe on the back end next year to account for if you do add somebody. But we've seen the 49ers be aggressive, and really the league as a whole be more aggressive at the trade deadline. I was looking it up the other night, November 5th. So the Niners are going to play, what would that be, 8 games, the first 8 games, and then have their bye before the trade deadline. So we'll have a good feel for where this team is at. They play the Chiefs and the Cowboys right before the bye, and then they have the bye, and then 2 days after the 49ers bye, Sunday is the trade deadline on that Tuesday, on I guess election day as well is also the NFL trade deadline. So easy way to keep it in mind. It just kind of popped into my head there. So
you can make a monumental trade and nobody would notice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everybody's going to be looking at different things then, but no, I think you also give yourself some flexibility. So it's twofold. And we've seen the Niners be willing to be aggressive on that front. if they want to, if there's somebody that they feel that they need or a position of weakness that they can add to. So it's that, but it's also, I think, first and foremost, it's the ability to look to have that cap space roll over and be able to keep the financial house in order for years to come as best they can.
One of the debates that happened that was going on today was, the Niners spent money in the offseason, but they spent money on things that they already had, right? I mean, they spent money on Trent Williams, but well, they already had Trent Williams. Yeah. Well, they spent a lot of money on Ayuk. Yeah, they already had Ayuk. You know what I mean? So they spent money on CMC, but they already had CMC. How improved are the 49ers? Are the 49ers improved from last year? Because, I'm looking at the rookies. There's Cowing, Pooney, and Guerrero on offense. There's Bethune, Mustafa, and Renardo Green on defense. Other new players would be Isaac Yadam and Rock Ya-Sin in the secondary. Devondre Campbell at backer. Yatir Gross-Matos, Jordan Elliott, and Malik Collins and Leonard Floyd up front. A lot of changes up front. And other than that, Dobbs was brought in as the backup. Saubert as a backup tight end. Tongas. Who else? That's pretty much it. Pretty much everybody. Other than, of course, Dominic Pooney, who steps in at right guard as the starter. I talked to him today. What a character he is, man. He's an athlete, too. He was hitting jump shots on that bucket in the in the locker room.
He was
a pretty good basketball player.
He did. It's interesting. Every year you find out who the guys that like playing hoop are because they've got that hoop in the locker room. And Pooney, I think, spent the better part of the entire 45-minute open locker room period when he wasn't talking to people. He had a good, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes where he was talking to various reporters, yourself included. I was over talking to him for a minute as well. But yeah, he loved shooting the rock. He was like, any time that he wasn't occupied with an interview, he was getting some shots up. After
I'll tell you, what's going to be fun too. It's going to be fun because Feliciano, you can tell, just absolutely ruins Pooney, right? Feliciano's the veteran, been there, the grizzled veteran. He knows every trick of the trade, every teammate prank. He's got and you can tell Pooney is like his target. It's that watching Pooney tortured by Feliciano throughout the year is going to be pure entertainment.
Yeah,
Pooney's a talent, man. And Trent even said it. Trent's like, wow,
he is. And you took the words right out of my mouth as far as that was the biggest takeaway from me as far as Pooney was what Trent Williams had to say about him. I mean, he was the first guy that Trent mentioned in that lengthy list of guys that stood out to him from afar. I'll give you a quick answer, just kind of going around the horn a little bit on where they're better, where maybe they're not better, where we don't know if they're better. I think Pooney is the one guy on the offensive line. Like if he can fortify the right guard spot and if he plays the way that he did in the preseason, I think he will help to fortify the right guard spot. I think that could have the potential to improve them in an area where they really have been vulnerable up the middle in terms of the pass rush. I think, wide receiver, we'll see now that we're through the whole, initial scare of what happened with Ricky Pearsall and being shot and not knowing, what his life status was going to be, let alone his football status. I mean, this thing is very quickly shifted, and John Lynch said it. I mean, they think he's going to play again this season, which is incredible. Obviously, he's going to have to miss the first 4 games. He was the one guy, and I think now we can talk about him in this frame because we know he's going to be okay. And John Lynch did say he will likely play this year at some point. He was the guy that to me was truly going to show whether the wide receiving core is, how much better they are. We know what Jennings has got. We know Ayuk and Deebo, obviously. Cowing's interesting. Are they really going to trust him to be a wide receiver and get out there for wide receiver snaps early? I'm not sure. I'm interested to see how much Chris Conley is on the field. He's somebody that is steady and productive when given the opportunity. So I think that's interesting. I think on the defensive side, the secondary, I think they're better in the secondary. They are quite a bit better. They are better, and I really like what I've seen from Yadam. I mean,
Yeah.
Diamador Lenore looks like, I mean, he looks like a guy that might be an All-Pro this year. I mean, he. You know,
I saw you talking to him today. What was that? A good conversation you had?
Yeah, we
Deebo?
were just kind of talking. Yeah, we were talking mainly about Ricky Pearsall. We were kind of going around with Austin Scott from the KBR digital team. We were going around talking to different guys. He was putting together a little bit of a package and you can see it on the KBR socials at KBR on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and all of that. Just a package that he did with just different 49er player reactions to the news on Saturday and just how they found out, how they processed it, just what their thoughts were, just kind of how everybody dealt with such a unique and scary situation. But I got an opportunity to talk a little more football with Lenore at training camp in the early part of training camp. And man, he's just awesome. He's watching film and he's got the swag going and the confidence. Like he knows this is his year to make a big impact and to be known league wide. Like I think everybody on the Niners knows how good he is, and we all kind of know. I think by the end of this year, and I think people in the league know he's good, but I think this has the potential to be the year where everybody in the league goes, wow, Diamador Lenore is a legit corner, and to do it in a moment where he's going to have the opportunity to get paid. I think he's somebody to watch inside, outside. I mean, he does it all. So I think that's the one area position group wise where I think this team without a doubt is markedly better. Renardo Green switched his number, by the way, number zero
now. He's zero. That's a good
now.
look.
So look for 0. And then the last thing is just, I even like guys, some of the young, I like Rock Yassin is not he's not a younger player, but he's a veteran that I think if he had to play at the back end of the roster, I think he's real physical and tenacious.
He's only 28. I thought he was like 32. He's 28. So he's a young veteran. They're definitely good in the secondary. And Lenore, I'll make a prediction right now. Lenore gets an extension before the end of the year. JD, one last one here. Sure. We'll let you go after this, but Niners Nation had an article up 6 burning questions. I will throw them to you, and we'll go speed round on these questions. Okay. Does Brock Purdy get better or worse this year?
Better.
Okay.
Better. Yeah, I think he in the system. Yeah, in the system with more talent around him. I think the comfort level in the system. I think that means he's on the upswing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Brock Purdy, this is his first full season with an off season with reps. And even if he didn't get reps with Ayuk, he still got mental reps, physical reps. Brock Purdy definitely gets better.